Welcome back, my Stampin' with Charlene friends. I'm Charlene Haravel. Tonight is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. If you remember last week, I showed you 2 easy ways to use gilded leafing to make a card. And there is another way, but it's so fun and so involved yet easy that I wanted to dedicate it to its own tutorial. I wanted it to have, it's so special it deserved its own night. So this is how the technique that we're going to use. So I'll go step by step and show you, but just take a look at how extremely gorgeous that pineapple is. All done with gold leafing. So let's get started with tonight's technique. Before we get started with the technique on how I made the pineapple, let's just build the base of the cards, then we can set it aside and we can just concentrate on using the gilded leafing to make the card, or to make the pineapple. So I am using Garden Green as my card base, and this designer series paper is from the Berry Delightful designer series paper, which is part of Celebration. So that is something that you can order. I think this is at the $100 level. You can get this designer series paper with the coordinating stamp set for free. So I'm going to adhere that down like that. And then I have another piece of Garden Green paper, which I used as the base for the pineapple. And I kind of, if you look at the edges, this is a technique from years ago, but I'm bringing it back for this card. Thought it would give it more of a tropical, foresty kind of feel. So I'm just taking the edges of my paper snips and I'm just going along the edge, all of the edges of this piece of cardstock to kind of fray the edges and make it look like it's worn. Just like that. Simple, doesn't take much time, but gives it a nice look. Then I'm going to take a piece of ribbon, and this is from the Fine Art ribbon, which is in the mini catalog, and I am going to tie a bow off to the side, off to the left-hand side, or you can tie a knot if you want to, but I think a bow just makes it look extra special. And then I'm going to adhere this to my card base. And then we can move on to making the pineapple, which you are going to love. Love, love, love. So I'm just going to set that there in the center. So we're almost done, believe it or not. Now let's move on to making the gorgeous, gorgeous pineapple. This might get a little messy too, so you want to make sure you have grid paper. It's not as messy as the card that I made last week, but you just want to protect your surface and have something to collect all of the little fibers that will result from using the gold leafing. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's just an extra way to keep things clean. So to start, I am using the 2 dies that come from the In the Tropics die set. This is in the annual catalog. So we have the bottom piece of the pineapple, and then we have the top piece of the pineapple. Now the key to this, what you're going to need to use are the adhesive sheets, which are found in the annual catalog. I will list the page number and the item number. These are back in the part of the catalog where all of the information is about die cutting, the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, etc., because that's what these are used for. So these are the adhesive sheets. And I just took the dies and I put them on a big sheet, and then I just finagled with them and I cut around just so that they would fit, you know, on there. And then I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper, and this is soft sea foam. And what I'm going to do is the same kind of thing, is just put that on there and cut out. It doesn't really matter what color you use because it's going to all be covered up with the gold. The die cut piece will be all covered up with the gold leafing. But if there's a little oops and some, you know, sneaks out, at least the soft seafoam coordinates with the colors that are in the card. But you won't have an oops because I'm going to show you all the little secrets to this. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the pineapple base. And I'll just go in here and cut out a scrap just like that. So to review, you have your 2 dies. You've cut out 2 pieces of the adhesive sheet, and then you cut out 2 pieces of scrap paper that coordinate with whatever you're using as your background image. So the adhesive sheet is double-sided sticky. So you want to peel it off like this, and you want to put it on your scrap paper with the sticky side down. Just like that. And it has perforations in it, so you really can't cut a piece that's big enough to fit the entire die. So I just am putting the pieces together like that. Okay, so the sticky part is down on your scrap piece of paper. And then come over here and do the same thing with this piece. Lift it up and put it so the sticky side sticks to the paper. Try not to get it stuck on your fingers like I did. And there we go. Now comes a fun part. I'm going to use my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I love this little guy. He's so cute. And I am going to run each piece through the machine. And I'm looking right on here, and it tells me because I'm using a die, I want to use a number 1 plate, which is the white plate, a number 2 plate, then put the paper with the die, and then top it off with a number 2 plate. So there's my number 1 plate, my number 2 plate. Here's my pineapple piece. And I want to make sure that I have it on there so that the entire die is covering the adhesive so that the die gets adhesive on the entire thing. You don't want to have any overlap where you have some die that doesn't have adhesive. And I'm just going to run it through the machine. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing with the pineapple top. I'm going to place it on here so that the entire image has adhesive underneath it. And I'll run this through the machine. Give it a few cranks. Okay, so now we can set aside our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which I absolutely love. And you're going to take each piece off of the scrap paper. So you're going to have a pineapple bottom, and you're going to have a pineapple top. And you'll see that the back side is your scrap paper and the front side is the adhesive sheet. So now we get to play with the gilded leafing. So what you want to do is, keeping the cardstock facing down, you want to remove carefully this top piece of paper, which is the covering for the adhesive. So remember there were like two parts. So I'm gonna first take off this little top part there, and this is gonna be sticky. And then I'm gonna peel off the next big piece. And so now the entire piece that is die cut will be sticky on the top. The whole thing will have adhesive on it. So depending on how intricate your image is will depend on how easy it is for you to remove the topping. So there I have my top piece, and now let's watch the magic happen. This is all you have to do, is open up your gilded leafing and place it on, press it down on the sticky part. And just tap, tap, tap. You can rub it if you want to get like on the little edges, but I'm just tapping as I go. And I can already tell, oh, look at how gorgeous that is. Like after you tap, if you rub it, do you see how it just, whoops, it just becomes so beautiful. It just melts right in to the cardstock. So just tap, 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 and then rub for that soft effect. I have not transferred my gilded leafing into a separate container yet. I don't know. I need to find something cute first before I do it. I just can't put it in any old Tupperware. I'm thinking of maybe using an old Stampin' Up! Plastic case from when we had, do you remember way back when we had our wooden stamps and they came in those plastic cases? I'm thinking I might do that. But look at how easy that was. So I'm already finished. And now I'm just gonna go in there with my fingers and just kind of flick off the excess from the sides so that the image is nice and crisp. That happens because the gold leafing, sometimes it's a larger part of the leafing stays on there. So you just want to make sure you're kind of like chopping it off, but you're just using your finger instead of going in there with scissors to do it. And now this particular die has these little leaves that pop up. So I'm just going to pop those up to make it like a little 3D situation, like that. Let's clean this off so you can see it a little better, but look at how easy that was. When you just break it down step by step, like I always say, it isn't difficult. So now I'm going to come over here to my pineapple bottom, and it has all these little pieces that the die cut machine cuts out for you. So I'm just going to pop these all out, and you can already see where this is going. I'm going to do the same thing once I remove all these little pieces, and they come out pretty easily. Not having any problem with this. Okay, but so just remember that you're removing the top part. You're not removing the cardstock. You want the cardstock to stay. That is your base of operation. So let's get all that out of the way. And now this might be a little tricky, or maybe not. There we go. We're just gonna peel that piece right off, and then I have another section here to peel off. And I'm gonna do the same thing. Just pick up pieces of the leaf, the gilded leafing, and just press it down onto the adhesive. Whoa, look at how big that is. Woo! Press it down And then when you rub it to make it smooth, I want you all to try this because there really aren't any words to show or there aren't any words to tell you the difference that happens after you rub it. It's something you just have to see. So it's too bad that we aren't meeting in person soon, I hope. Do you guys want to go back? Once it's safe, do you want to go back to in-home classes? Those of you who live nearby. I think I'll always do online classes still, but I miss you guys. And all our fun snacks and all the things we talk about. Some of the things we used to talk about, it just amazed me where our conversations would go. So I'm almost done here. Let me just flick that off. Okay, so now you'll see that for some reason the top right there and right down here didn't get any adhesive on it. So I'm going to show you a little trick on how I solved that problem before. What I did was, you can take a tiny piece of tear and tape adhesive, or you can use some of our some other of your like snail adhesive or your Stampin' Seal. I just happen to have my old stuff right here by my desk. So I just added some adhesive there, and I am just going to fix those little boo-boos just like that. And there you go, guys. Okay, cleaned up my workstation here a little bit. So now what I'm gonna do is just adhere each piece to the card base that we made earlier. So I'm just gonna use some little dots of my multi-purpose adhesive, and I want to adhere this right about there. Stick that down. And then I'm gonna put the top on with some dimensionals, so it puffs up a little bit and gives some extra dimension to the card. So I want to put one down here at the bottom so that it pops up over the top of the pineapple. Just like that. So now what I want you to do, one more thing to this base, now that you have the pineapple in place, is if you want to, you can take your finger and kind of curl in the corner to make it look a little more rusticy, farm lifey, pineapple farmish, if you want to. And now what you're gonna do is Flowers for Every Season gems have these beautiful green gems in there, and there's small ones and then there's larger ones. So I just want you to come in here and just on random places on the bottom of your pineapple, just put little dabs of multi-purpose glue, and then tediously pick out the large green little sequins from the sequins and just drop them onto your little speck of glue. And I don't know if this translates well on the camera, but in person, it is absolutely gorgeous. It looks like almost like you want to take it off the card and wear it as a brooch or something. It looks like a piece of jewelry. It's amazing. I have a feeling that I'm going to be incorporating this into a lot of cards. Maybe not this much, not so much on a card, but maybe on little flowers or little background areas. It's kind of like once you use it, you don't want to stop using it. So I am just going to go in here and put all of the little sequins. It just gives it such a fabulous look. And believe it or not, that's all there is to it. So if you want to try this, I don't know what to call this technique. I guess the adhesive sheet technique for using the gilded leafing. We can add that to the tear and tape technique and the Versamark heat and stick powder technique. So it's 3 different ways to use the product and to come out with glorious results every time. To really, really impress the recipient. I mean, if they get this card in the mail, there's no way it's going to end up in the garbage. You really got to be card worthy to receive this card. I think I'm going to add one more right up there. Oops. And I left off a sentiment because I think that the pineapple speaks for itself. So you could use this for anything. You could write anything on the inside that you want to. But isn't that gorgeous? So just to review, in addition to the gilded leafing, if you want to do the technique this way with your dies, with any die, you would need the adhesive sheets. And of course, your dies and your die cut machine. But that's all there is to this 3rd technique on using the gilded leafing. I know, it's absolutely gorgeous, and you can do this with so many of the Stampin' Up! Dies, the flowers, even the balloons, anything you can think of. You can do the gold leafing now that you know how to do it. If you'd like a reminder on the other 2 ways that I showed you, go ahead and watch last week's video. I will put a link to it below. I will also put a link to the supplies that I used for tonight's technique using the framelits, and that's all there is to it. So I would love, love, love to see your designs. If you order from me, you get an invitation to join my private VIP Facebook group where you can upload your projects, and once a month I do a drawing and you receive a really fun prize. So, hey, let's get after it and make some gilded leaf projects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.